Learn your first jig on the bagpipe chanter. It's easier to play a jig than you think. In fact, this very jig I'm going to teach you in this lesson will go through the first line. This is the first tune I ever learned on the bagpipes. My name's Alec. I'm from Get Bagpipe Ready. If you like this lesson, you'll want to check out the next lesson. It's completely free. Just click on the description for the video below and you'll find that link there for the next lesson. In this lesson, we're going to learn Paddy's leather breeches, the first line. I'll just play for you what we're going to go through in this lesson. So that's what you're going to get in this lesson. It's basically 3 different phrases. One is going to be repeat a couple times, and that gives you the first line of the tune. And the second line of the tune, again, it'll be in lesson number 2. You can click on the link in the video description below. Now, we're going to start out on a B. So all our fingers, our bottom hand is our right hand, top hand is our left hand. Know your other left hand, just joking. So bottom hand, bottom 2 fingers are up, and that's our B note. We have 2 fingers on the hole, on the bottom hand still. Our top hand, all the fingers are on except for that pinky. There's no hole for that pinky finger. There is a thumb hole on the back there. So that's our B. So go ahead and play your B. If it's not sounding like a B, some fingers might not be quite covering that hole. Just take a peek. Try to get those fingers on the hole. Try to keep your fingers fairly flat. Try not to let them curl up like you would on a tin whistle or a flute. Try to keep your fingers fairly flat. So once you have that B, we're going to jump into a triplet. So we're going to do a bit of embellishments with this jig, but I'll always give a bit of an easier version as well. So in this triplet, we're going to do a G grace note, top finger of the top hand. So there's our G grace note. And that it can be worthwhile just practicing that, making sure no other fingers are voluntarily lifting when they shouldn't be. Once you can do that G grace note, top finger of the top hand, and keep that steady B, nothing's shifting around on you, then we go to the next grace note, which is our D grace note, top finger of the bottom hand. We're still holding that B the whole time. And a grace note is just up and down quickly. So in this case, the top finger of the bottom hand. And then we go to our third grace note, hence triplet, 3 grace notes, is our bottom finger of our top hand, our E grace note. So those 3 grace notes will give us our triplet. So again, it's top finger of top hand, top finger of bottom hand, bottom finger of top hand. So that's our grace note. Now that could be a good place to stop if you're new to finding the holes on the chanter, if you're new to grace notes. That in and of itself could be a great thing to repeat, a very worthwhile thing to repeat. You're working on covering the holes, you're working on grace notes, you're working on up and down, you're working on wiring your brain to each finger. You know, that there is a lot. So assuming you've got that, you're ready to move on. From there we're going to jump up to the F. So the F is, our bottom hand is in our low A position, so just the pinky is off on the chanter. Our top hand, we have the thumb on the back and the top finger on the hole. That's our F. So that's the F, so we're getting there from the B. So a bit of a transition there. We have to drop 1 finger on the bottom hand. At the same time, we have to lift 2 fingers up on the top hand. Now to get there, you don't have to do an embellishment at all. What's written is a in the music, which you can access the music if you just click on the link below and access the free lessons. You'll have access to the music as well. But what's written in the music is the F doubling. So a F doubling, it's basically two fast grace notes with the top finger of the top hand while we're sitting on that F. So to get from the B to the F, we can get there with the F doubling. So one grace note gets us to the F. So essentially, while you drop one finger down on that bottom hand, all the fingers have to lift off the top hand, and then that first finger catches its hole, and immediately it goes up and down a second time to give it that doubling. So I'll play that for you here. So that's kind of the slow motion version. And that's what it'll sound like once you get things sped up. That being said, if the doubling is a bit much, you could just do a grace note. So a grace note, one grace note, no doubling, is going to just be all the fingers go up on the top hand, and then you catch that F. So that'd be the grace note. Here's the doubling again. So I'll just play for you how each of those sound after our triplet we worked on. So going back to our triplet on the B. So that's the doubling. And that's such a great thing just to repeat. It happens a lot in the tune. It happens twice in the first line, so even just repeating that is so good. That's the doubling. Here's the grace note. And if you're just happy to make that transition from the B to F happen and you don't want to do any embellishments, that's okay. Here's what it'll sound like. Okay, so that's the first phrase of this whole line, and we're going to make it through this whole line here. So from that high F, we're just going to drop one note down to the E. So we drop one finger down, and we go right back up to the F again. So that's what we're doing. To get up to that F, we're going to do that grace note up to the F, which we just went over. So if you're a bit confused on that, just rewind the video. And again, if you don't do the grace note, that's okay. So here's what we have so far. You get the idea. That's a great one to repeat again until you're really, really solid with those triplets, with that transition up to the F. And from there, we're going to drop right back down to the B again, but this time we're going to do a B strike. So this is what it's going to sound like when we add on that B strike to what we've got so far. Okay, so we drop down to the B from the F. We're doing the opposite now. We're dropping two fingers of our top hand at the same time we're lifting one finger up on our bottom hand, and that's our transition from now F to B. And our B strike, we're just striking down the two fingers of the bottom hand, and then they come right back up again. So they cover the holes and come right back up again. So that's the B strike. That's what we got so far. And again, you just hear that you just want to repeat that. So let's repeat that a few times here. Pause the video, go away, and work on this till you got this section. A little bit slower. after that B strike, guess where we're going to go? We're going to go right back up to the F again. There's a lot of transitions from F to B and back and forth again. From the F, again, what's written in the music, which you'll see in the link below, click on the link, go to my free lessons. What's written in the music is that F doubling that we've gone over already. You can rewind the video to check that out. You can stick in a grace note in there, that'll be just fine. If you want, you could just play no embellishment to get up to that F. It's totally up to you. But here's what it'll sound after that strike going up to the F with the doubling. So the strike on the B. Okay, so let me play what we got so far. I'll play that again. So we have our triplet up to the F with the doubling on the F. We drop down for that strike. We go right up to the F with the doubling, and then we actually are going to just repeat that triplet part. So we drop down to the E, drop down one finger, and then we go back to our triplets on the B. And then we drop down to the E again. So let me play what we have so far, and then we just have one small bar left and you've got the whole line. Here we are. So from there we got just one bar left, and it's a little bit different than what we've done so far. So let's just kind of sit on this and repeat this section a bit before you move on. I'll play it through a couple times slow. Pause the video, make sure you got this before you jump ahead to the next section. And again, if you want the music for it, you know, just click on the link below and you can access the free lessons and get the music for this as well. So here we go, nice and slow, what we have so far, minus the last bar, and then you got the first line. So here we go. So repeat that. Awesome. Now this is where it gets a little bit different, and this bar, it is a bit tricky, but you know what, it's repeated so much throughout the tune, it's worth working on. So here's this last bar. We're coming off the E, so we're on that E. So one finger up on the top hand, the bottom finger's up on the top hand, pinky's up on the bottom hand. We're on our E. So completely different sound to what we've done so far. So let me play that again here for you. Now there's a few grace notes in there. If you need to leave a couple out to start, that's okay. You'll at least get the right notes, so I'll just go over the notes here right now. So we're on the E, we drop down to the C, so we drop down the finger, that's up on the top hand, that drops down. At the same time our pinky drops down on the bottom hand and we lift up those two middle fingers on the bottom hand. That's what E to C. From there we go right down to low A. And then we need to play two low A's in a row. The only way we can play two of the same note in a row on the bagpipes, and we need to separate them with something. In this case we're going to separate them with an E grace note. So that E grace note is bottom finger of the top hand on the low A. So that's our E grace note. So that's kind of with the bare minimum. You still need that one grace note just to separate those two notes. So again, we're on the E to C, low A, E grace note. From there, we pop right up to the F, and we've done that lots before, but instead of going from the B, we're going from the A. So we pop up to F, lifting those bottom two fingers of the top hand. From that F, we drop one finger down to the E. We've done that a couple times. And then from that E, we'd go down to the C. And we've done that just at the start of this bar. So that's the last little bit of that bar. And let me play it through, and we're just going to do that one grace note, and then I'll show you how to add in the other grace notes as well. So we're starting on the E. So the bare minimum, you still need to put in that one E grace note, bottom finger of the top hand, on that low A. If you want to add in all the grace notes, we're going to do a G grace note from the E to the C. So G grace note, top finger of the top hand, we're using that grace note to transition from E to C. So that, to make that transition happen with the G grace note, that finger has to be the first to lift, and essentially it lands simultaneously while you make that transition. So all the fingers have to, you make the transition solid, and the G grace note finger lands the same time, simultaneously. It takes a lot of work. Keep at it. Have fun with it. No, it's going to not sound great to start out with. Just get that repetition. Eventually your brain will wire into those fingers and get them doing what you're telling them to. So that's the first grace note. And then we're going to transition from the C to low A. This time we're going to do a D grace note. Again, this is optional. This is what's written in the music. You can find the music in the link in the video description below. So that's the D grace note. Top finger of the top hand to go from C to low A. So again, that finger has to be first to lift to initiate the movement. And as soon as it lifts, you're kind of moving all those fingers to land simultaneously. So what we got from that high E. So we still are going to do that E grace note on the low A. And when we go up to the F, we're going to do a grace note to get to that F now. And we've gone through the F grace note and doubling options a few times. This, in the music, what's written here is just a grace note. And then that part's just the same after that grace note on the F. So, let me play that with all the grace notes at this last bar a couple times for you. Okay, so that bar itself is worth practicing over and over. Get some repetition for that bar. And then you can stack it on to what we've got so far, and you've got the first line of your very first jig, Paddy's Leather Breeches. So let me play for you that first line. So that's what we got so far. So that's lesson 1 of Paddy's Leather Breeches. I'll see you in lesson 2. Just click on the video description below this video. You'll access lesson 2. It's got the link for lesson 2. It's completely free. If you enjoy lesson 2, yes, you can go through, purchase and go through the whole tune workshop. Or you could even get that tune workshop for a much better price joining the Get Bagpipe Ready membership. But again, check out that next free lesson. It's completely free, and if you need the music for this first lesson, again, it's all in the link below. And just click on that link and check things out. And I'll play through the full tune, here, so you know what the whole tune sounds like in context. So here's the first line with the whole tune, Paddy's Leather Breeches. See you in the next lesson. Until then, keep on piping on.